Hello and thanks for joining me again for another solar PV update on my system here in the UK. It's going to be for this month, the month of July 2020. If you've been watching the channel before, I'm just going to kind of go over the monthly stats and provide you kind of information on how it's performing and give you some updates on the system in general. Okay, so I'm based in the Worcestershire area in the West Midlands in the UK. I have a 9 kilowatt solar array that has a 6 kilowatt solar edge inverter. All the panels have optimizers on them. They're Pymar solar panels. I also have a Tesla Powerwall 2 with the standard gateway, so the non-backup gateway, and I have a My Energy Eddy, which I use to heat hot water from surplus solar. I also have a My Energy Zappy, which I use to charge our electric vehicles with surplus solar as well. We have a Tesla Model S and a 40 kilowatt Nissan Leaf. So one of the things you'll notice as we go through the video for July, there is some times where I have no solar. And the reason for that is, and you'll know if you're watching the channel for a while, I have had a slight water leak in the roof. So what Forever Green Energy have done, they're the people that did my solar install, they've actually been really good at trying to solve this problem. So no, I'm not complaining about their performance. It's been good. Unfortunately, as I just found out yesterday, and I'm doing this in the middle of August now, a bit late, I still have a leak. I just emailed them about to look into, but they had a third-party roofing company come out and look at the roof, and they took all the panels off and redid some stuff on the roof, but unfortunately it looks like it's still leaking. So we'll see what happens there. That'll be why there's a day where there's pretty much no solar because the panels are off. And one thing that I haven't looked into since last month, which I've reported on, is the stats that the My Energy Zappy is giving me are definitely wrong. It's saying I'm pulling from the grid, and what's still with COVID and whatnot, I haven't been really going very many places. So all the charging we've been doing of the electric cars has been from solar surplus. So definitely no grid usage. So not quite sure what's going on there. So if you have any questions about the setup, feel free to ask questions in the comments, but most things about my setup I have covered in various other videos on the channel, so I welcome you to look into those as well. So let me get things loaded up on the computer, and then we'll switch over here and go through the day-by-day stats. Okay, so here we go. So for the month of July 2020, you can see that the system performed pretty well. A little bit down, I think, on the previous month, but that won't help with a bit of strange weather going on, and obviously lack of solar some of the days. So we have system produced 981.38 kilowatt hours. Managed to self-consume 91% of that, so 889.25 kilowatt hours. And exported 9%, so 92.13 kilowatt hours. So one thing that definitely happened during July was we had some really brilliant clear days. So on those days I was maximising solar as much as possible, charging the cars, having aircon on in the office, charging batteries on my tools and stuff. So really trying to minimise what went back to the grid, because it doesn't make a difference to my payments. You can see that consumption was 1.05 megawatt hours, so we did have to import 15%. So there's a slight kind of differing in balance, so we did have to kind of pull from the grid a little bit there. If you look over the month, you can see there on the 2nd and the 10th were some large consumption days. So we'll look at that as we go through the day by day. If we scroll down and look at how things were in July, we can see that 2020 July was worse for me than the previous year. So August is where it starts to get interesting again, because obviously we got 3 years kind of data to go through, but really September is the first full year that I would have had solar. So not too bad. Let's go through the day by day. So click on the first. Wait, things to load up. So again, reasonable day. Just over 20 kilowatt hours of energy generated. We can see quite overcast though, so very bouncy in terms of production, but not too bad. Does what we need to do. So again, if you've not watched the videos before, I have basically my power will set to know about off peak, so in between 12:30 and 4:30 in the morning. I'm on the Octopus Go tariff, so I only pay 5p a kilowatt, so that's when any grid-based charging of cars, water and the Powerwall happens. If you're interested in Octopus Go, there's a link in the description. If you sign up, both of us get £50 credit to our account, so that's much appreciated if you use that link. But yeah, so in general we should see not a lot happening in this section. These little bursts there, that's just kind of maintenance cycles and stuff that happens on the Powerwall, and there's always going to be a little bit of grid activity from a balancing perspective. So on to the second. So here we can see, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I'm trying to think now, did I have to go somewhere? Maybe I went somewhere, I had to charge the car, I think is a possibility here. So Powerwall, maybe hot water as well actually. So a lot of pulling going on, but again, it's only cost me 5p a kilowatt. And then the day wasn't too bad, just over 25 kilowatt hours of energy used, but higher consumption, so importing 47.22 kilowatt hours. But just for, I guess, some reference, because that does sound like a lot, but in reality that costs me £2.35, so not that bad. Actually, I think I'm trying to remember now. I think maybe this happened later on in the month. I did have my Model S plugged in, charging from surplus solar, and then I forgot to unplug it. So then I think it charged to 100% because I definitely had travelled somewhere, I remember, in the month. Anyway, on to the third. Apologies for snoring dog in the background. Not a bad day, just over 20 kilowatts. Again, a bit overcast though, so you can see, it's not a nice smooth bell curve that we would like to see in terms of generation throughout the day. Off to the fourth. Okay, a couple of little spikes happening here. That will just be the Powerwall doing some maintenance cycles, but again, still overcast and a bit kind of glitchy throughout the day, but enough that's kind of seeing us through. We're not needing to pull from the grid in the evening, so the Powerwall is full, and then it's kind of dealing with our needs throughout the day without a problem. If you're new to the channel as well, I obviously work from home full time, but obviously now my wife is also working from home due to COVID and kids are off school because summer and whatnot. So fifth is a good generation day though, 41 kilowatt hours, so pretty good. Still overcast, not nice. Nice curve, a bit of clipping here. We can see we're maxing out at 6 kilowatts, so we get clipping on the inverter there. Move over to the 6. Couple of little maintenance cycles here on the Powerwall by the look of it. That's happening there, and again another overcast day, but good generation when it is working, but not getting close to our 6 kilowatt peaks, but 36.28 kilowatt hours generated for the day. To the 7th. Okay, that's more like what we want to see. Nothing happening in the morning, so the battery's happy and we're not accidentally left anything plugged in. Again, another overcast day, so no kind of maxing the 6 kilowatt that the inverter can do, but 21 kilowatt hours, and again sees us all the way through the day. No need to pull from the grid. Slightly better day, still overcast though. Actually, not better. It's only 18 kilowatts, and we can see we're only just peaking just above 3.5. So it's probably generally cloudy, I think, that day, and then some even more overcast spells. But again, enough to keep us going. So Powerwall's charged, and the power covers all the computer runnings and whatnot. Okay, not a good day. So overcast, and then different spikes happening for different things. It's probably things like having the hairdryer on, or something early in the morning, and then obviously in the evening when it comes to cooking and whatnot, then we're having to pull from the grid, which isn't great. But yeah, only 14 kilowatt, so the power wouldn't have been full because it's 14 kilowatts itself. On to the 10th. Okay, more charging happening here. So there's probably hot water, I think, when I look at this. I'm going to guess hot water and Powerwall. Yep, and then this is the day that I had the panels off. So you can see, off to a good start. The solar people and the roofing people turn up at 8 o'clock. Panels are off for most of the day, most of the morning at least. But then they're back on again for like 1 o'clock or something, yeah, 12:45. But by then the weather's pretty crappy anyway, so not too much to write home about. Look at the 11th, slightly better day, so a little bit of Powerwall cycling in the morning, but a good curve to start with, but then generally overcast, but good generation, 48 kilowatt hours generated during the day, and again Powerwall's nice and full, so we're looking to pull from the grid in the evening. 12th, much better day, so 53.65 kilowatt hours generated, a much nicer curve, so you can see some top out clipping there in the morning, which is what we're looking for, but still overcast, hence a little bit spiky in the afternoon there, and obviously we're not maximising the solar in various cases there, hence nearly 7 kilowatt hours exported. Onto the 13th, and again sunny overcast day again, but some good generation, just over 26 kilowatt hours, no need to pull from the grid or anything, so happy days. On to the 14th, again not great day, but some reasonable generation, still overcast, but nearly 25 kilowatt hours generated for the day, but again still no need to pull from the grid. I like these days where it's kind of off griddy. So not a great day, again still overcast, not brilliant generation, just under 20 kilowatt hours, and we can see here as we get late into the evening some grid pull is starting to happen. Let's see what that looks like on the following day. Yeah, so on the 16th, that will be the Powerwall charging itself because it thinks the weather's been pretty crap. So the next day, not too bad, 30 kilowatts generated and only just under 4 kilowatts exported. So it does make sense that the Powerwall charged that day, but again, keeps us going into the evening without any need to pull from the grid. A little bit of maintenance cycle activity there in the morning, but a pretty good day. Still very overcast, but some 6 kilowatt hour clippings, or 6 kilowatt clippings even, and 42.5 kilowatt hours generated. On to the 18th. Solar Edge site has been running quite slow lately. Okay, so 22 kilowatt hours generated this day, and again, you can see very overcast, struggling to get up to nearly 4 at the best of times, but a solid day, so we should be okay into the evening and into the morning with the Powerwall kind of keeping us going. Obviously the days are quite long still in July, so it's quite late, it's light into the evening, so we don't need lights on and what have you, as opposed to in August now where it's been dull and dismal. Okay, so you can see there, 18th was a lot better. Still moments of overcast weather though. and yeah, not optimal, but pretty good generation, 42.71 kilowatt hours. Again, no need to pull from the grid, and about 5 kilowatt hours exported for the day. On to the 20th. Okay, much better start for the morning. So that's the kind of curve that we want to see, clipping out for an hour or so. So good generation, 45.6 kilowatt hours, but then overcast in the late morning for the rest of the day. It's kind of impacted the generation, but still good. No need for us to pull from the grid, which is the main thing. I mean, maximising the use of most of that solar. On the 21st, again, much better day. So good generation, a little bit of blips, but good generally throughout the morning, then overcast in the afternoon. So really solid generation, 50.56 kilowatt hours, and we couldn't use all the electricity, so nearly 12 kilowatt hours went back into the grid. On to the 22nd, again, not a great day, still a bit overcast, but we got a couple of peaks, and 34.21 kilowatt hours electricity generated during the day. Okay, 23rd, again another overcast day, but nearly 30 kilowatt hours generated, which isn't too bad. But still no need to pull from the grid or anything, so that's good for us. 24th, another kind of sketchy day, lots of overcast, clouding happening, but again, solid generation, 36.48 kilowatt hours, so again, no need to pull from the grid or anything. On to the 25th, again, with similar patterns. The weather seemed like it was quite good in July, but actually it was very overcast a lot of the time. Didn't really realise until you look at these graphs why this information is interesting. But again, not bad generation. But then we got some spikes in the evening where obviously we're doing some cooking or whatever, and apparently the Powerwall is depleted. So we'll probably have some grid pull in the early hours of the morning as we run off peak. Yep. Then, but not a bad day. In terms of generation, 36 kilowatt hours. Again, as you can see, really overcast. So not best generation that we would like to hope for. But again, shouldn't need to pull from the grid. Probably a little bit of maintenance cycling happening here as we go into the early hours of the morning on the 27th. Actually, no, it's not. That's just normal grid balancing, so that's not too bad. Again, another slightly crappy day, just under 20 kilowatt hours, but enough to kind of fill the Powerwall and keep us, again, not having to really pull anything from the grid. Over to the 28th, again, slightly better. Again, you're just seeing this constant pattern over July. It's much more overcast than you realise. Again, good generation, 32.44 kilowatt hours. Another thing, I can't remember the day I did it, because the scaffolding was still up. I did go up the scaffolding and gave all of my solar panels a really good clean. But there's also some building work happening around near where I live, so there's constantly lots of builders' dust and everything just settling on everything. So the one good thing is with this rain that we're having is kind of washing that stuff off, which is pretty good. Okay, and then on to the 29th. Again, slightly better day, still so overcast, so patchy. It really does impact our generation, and we end up with 33.15 kilowatt hours, but again, no need to pull from the grid. On to the 30th. Slightly better. It's kind of trying to look like a curve, but again, pretty overcast, but solid generation of 41.72 kilowatt hours. And then finally, a good day to end July. So really nice curve up there, clipping for multiple hours of the day, maximising the performance of the inverter, getting some really good generation, and we end the month, the last day being 51.73 kilowatt hours. So a good last day to July. Okay, so that was it for the month of July. So much more overcast than I really realised. In my head, July was a pretty sunny month, but not quite as sunny as I thought. So just pop on to some of the stats for the MyEnergy devices. So in terms of the eddy, so charging or heating of hot water from surplus solar, we had 94 kilowatt hours of energy diverted to heating hot water during July, which is pretty damn good. Then on to the Zappi stuff, which I'm still pretty confident is not accurate, but it reckons that I pulled 54.48 kilowatt hours from the grid for car charging, which I'm pretty sure is not 100% accurate. But 106.82 kilowatt hours came from solar surplus, which again, I can believe that, but I think that number should actually be higher. And then if I grab the stats from the Powerwall, which I forgot to take a screenshot of, so I just need to pull that a second. We managed to get 290 kilowatt hours of energy out of the Powerwall during July 2020. So that sums up the month of July. Let me know in the comments below how your system performed and where you are. I'm sure, I hope that some people had slightly better weather and had much nicer curves, so would have beaten my performance for July. But yeah, we'll see what happens in August. So I'm doing this in kind of middle of August now because I had so much kind of stuff that I've been dealing with that's meant this video's come out later, so apologies for that. But again, the weather's not been great in August, and obviously the days are getting shorter, so less solar time anyway. And yeah, wait and see what happens with the ongoing roof leaking saga. Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.